The SFR race concept is a small, compact, rear-wheel drive track days type car made by Toyota. Now maybe I'm out of the loop or something, but I had never heard of this car until Gran Turismo 7. This car is by no means a world beater, but for a low-level, entry-level type car, it has great all-around stats and it's fun to throw around the track. I had a real good time with it on Tokyo Expressway. It just flowed like butter around those turns. For some reason, I decided to start with Toyota collecting cars, and after driving the stock version of this, I went and I was collecting more, and I saw they had a $350,000 racing version. And once I bought it, I knew I would mess with it, but at the time I was going through the campaign, so I just set it to the back of the garage, and now today's the day we start messing with it. Now, when it comes to the body of the car, they pretty much got everything set up for you. It's already got the wide body on it, and it's got all your downforce, like your wing, and all the the skirts and stuff. For some reason, they're set in stone, though you can't adjust this downforce on the car. That kind of sucks a little bit, but the car is really beastly looking. At first, I thought this car was ugly, but after a couple of races, it started growing on me. It looks like somehow they took the AMG Mercedes SLS and smashed it in with a Mini Cooper, and it works though, really. For my part on the body, and customizing it, I wanted the deep candy hunter green. I accented the wheel wells on it in a black, and I put a nice little double pin strap down the driver's side all the way from the nose to the butt, and I kind of liked it. I sat there and put the number 12, that's my lucky number, for the race tag, and I got all my little brand names on there like I'm a real race car, but I don't know. When it comes to the performance parts, being that it's a factory stock track car, it already had a lot of upgrades on it. But I did have to put in a crankshaft. I had to do the port and polish, all the upgrades like that. I also put on a low RPM turbo to help with the beginning of it. You got to put on the anti-lag and turn it on strong so that thing, you got turbo. When you hit the gas till you let off the gas, you got the turbo. I put on the brake balance. I put on headers. I got this sports soft, so it can handle that. It don't need any better than that. Originally, I did put on a fully adjustable transmission, but to be honest, that was too much. In certain ways, I over upgraded the car. I took it off after the gameplay you're going to see, and it improved my top end and my times around the track by seconds. On the tuning, I kept it pretty simple. First of all, you can't really mess with the downforce at all. So I barely dropped it down just a little bit. I was already setting pretty low. And of course, I raised stiffened up the anti-roll in the back to keep the back together. And since you do that, I put, as on my suspension, I make it where it's got as much flow as possible. It kind of makes it where you can lose control a little bit, but it makes it real responsive, and it really plays with the road so it don't really bounce around all that much. Like I said earlier, I kept the anti-lag for the turbos turned all the way up so it would constantly have full blast. I had the drilled racing brakes, the disc, but I went ahead and went back to the regular pads. Having both racing disc and racing pad was just really overkill, and the car didn't need it, and it messed with my PP where I needed another levels. Now, I cranked the initial torque up to 15, only 5 points. That way I get a little more oomph when I start off and when I'm trying to get speed out of the corners, the big sharp corners. And I always crank up the brake pressure. And I put the brakes to the front like I usually do, but I think I'm going to put them back 50-50 because the car has such a short wheelbase. I chose Circuit de Spa Francorchamps because I wanted to make a car that was for short straightaways and lots of corners, so it was just going to be all acceleration, really no top end, which is what I made. It only hit 136 to 138, but it got there real quick. The problem was even the straightaways on this track were too long, and I was topping out, and all the cars that I passed would just zoom right past me right after that. of course, after I did all that, then it was time for me to see how it stacked up against other cars I had and around the 600 performance points range. And the first one I chose is my little yellow Audi TT that I've been driving since the first week. It was already pretty high in the 500 range, so it doesn't have a whole lot of upgrades to it. So I can't really customize the tune like I did on SFR. However, I drove like ass, to be honest, and I was still setting second and a half, close to 2 second laps faster. So the Audi TT, to me, though, it's been a beast the whole time I've had it. Next up on the comparison list was the little MX-5 Miata Roadster, track car. It's kind of like an older version of what Toyota did with the SFR. However, the SFR cost $350,000 and the Miata cost $90,000. And I put, of course, the racing tires in it because it was so low level, so it's going to have a grip advantage. But it's so light, even though it has half the horsepower, it was setting better times than the Audi TT, not just the SFR. So to conclude this video, all I can say is I spent $500,000 on a car that can't beat an MX-5 Miata real car that cost maybe $180,000. Oops. Now I gotta head back to the garage and tune my heart out to try to make this little car worth it. I'll see y'all later. Have a great day.